My whole thing is violence as a last resort, you know, and even then the violence must be muted. So again, if you're going to be violent in a Batman sense, where he will whoop your ass but he won't kill you. You know, violence in the sense that, again, knockout gas, tasers, instead of just annihilating someone in a scorched earth fashion.
Have you ever actually physically fought anybody, or?
Yeah, there were a couple of times. I'm not too proud of it. My stepdad was very abusive, and I had a fist fight with him. He was like the black version of Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, and he and I had to, you know, just, you know, but, you know, it's nothing I like to brag about, really. You know, I mean, again, you got to really be pushed to the wall to invoke that option.
So, but do you feel that the violence improved your relationship, or improved the problem in your favor?
No, because he and I haven't spoken in years. I just as soon not be alienated. I just as soon not alienate my stepdad. He's not a completely evil guy. But, you know, it's just, you know, sometimes once that line is crossed.
So going back, would you have fought him again?
Oh yeah, had to be done. Had to be done. But, you know, price had to be paid too. You know, so.
Can you move back this way?
Oh yeah,
no,
sorry.
But yeah, you know, I mean, it's got to be the sort of thing where you are left with absolutely no choice at all. But America is the richest, most powerful empire in human history. We have plenty of choices. We have choices abound. You know, so there's no need for these. This is overkill. This is like killing a mosquito with a sledgehammer. At best, you know. At worst, it'll kill us all. It won't leave anything but rubble left.
Or dropping a nuclear weapon on a tiny Japanese town, you know, kind of.
You know what I wish is that there were some Hiroshima or Nagasaki survivors here in person. I mean, there's some of them still alive, you know, and I wish. Here's what needs to happen. There needs to be a rock star tour, a rock concert-esque tour. Damn. There needs to be a rock concert-esque tour whereby the same people that are behind a tour of, say, Aerosmith or the Rolling Stones would put together a huge phantasmagorical pyrotechnic display where you would parade, you know, Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors on stage. You'd have a giant Trinitron screen in the background, and when one of them raised up their top and showed like the gouges and the radiation burns, it would be magnified on the big Trinitron screen. And they should have the same guy that introduces boxing matches introduced them, you know? And now, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors, and then introduce them one by one and have them each get on the mic and tell their story, and it would be magnified just like a rock concert would be. And they should have this tour go across the country and around the world. That is so long overdue. That's, you know, while these people are still alive. Because they're not going to live forever. I mean, you got to figure the Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors that are alive today, they were probably bombed. When the bombing happened, they were probably young. So even now, they're like in their 60s, 70s, 80s. They don't have much longer. So time is of the essence.
I think that'd actually be an extremely bad taste, because I mean...
No, not at all.
Well, who would go and see it?
And also, that's
everyone needs to be made to see it. I would dare say, teachers in schools should have it required. You can't graduate from high school until you go to the Hiroshima Nagasaki Survivor rock concert tour.
Well, I think that's a bit undignified, though, for people who have been in a horrible accident like that.
Some would say that this is undignified, but the point has to be made. We've done everything else. Look at what's going on up there right now. You got a bunch of old, boring, corny white women up there dressed like characters out of some Pippi Longstocking novel, talking about they're the raging grannies and singing in unison. I mean, this is horrible. That's what they call entertainment, but they're willing to debase themselves for something greater than themselves. So even though it certainly ain't my cup of tea, at least they're doing it, you know? And so if they can do that, then surely we can parade the Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors around the way we parade around rock stars.
Well, I don't even think they'd want to do that. So, I mean, they're really sick now. Not to mention they're old, they also have the radiation poisoning and deformities and...
which need to be displayed. They need to be shown for all to see. There needs to be posters. Right now, there are posters in every major metropolitan area of Andre the Giant. That I don't know what you would call it, that that drawing, the image of him, you know, and it says obey on the bottom of it, you know, I mean, that's popular now, okay? So there should be posters of like close-ups of those radiation burns for all to see. They should be everywhere. You shouldn't be able to go anywhere without seeing them, you know? That's what has to happen. People need constant reminders. If they're hit with constant reminders, then that way it will never occur to them to drop one of these things. It's either that, or maybe we should drop one on Orange County. Because it seems like to me, only when something happens to an all-white community, an all-white rich community, then all of a sudden everyone cares, you know? So it's like, either we drop one of these on Orange County so that the message can finally be sent home that this is not a joke, or we have pictures of those Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors plastered everywhere. I mean, really, people need to know that what was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki was insignificant, was impotent compared to the suckers that they got now. One of our modern nukes trumps the Hiroshima Little Boy nuke. What was it called? Fat Man and Little Boy?
Yeah.
The name of the bomb that they dropped in Hiroshima. That Hiroshima bomb, the Fat Man, Little Boy, whatever the name of it was.
Well, there was also Nagasaki.
Yeah, I mean, so the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs were nothing. They were nothing compared to one of our modern nukes. So there definitely needs to be something instilled in the public consciousness on a regular basis, constantly reminding people, you know, that this is not the sort of thing that should even exist. They should be taken apart immediately, and funding should be cut immediately.
Interesting though, is the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima were not actually the worst bombing in World War II. It was the fire bombing of Tokyo. So this bombing in general, I think there should be more awareness of. It's just that the nuclear gives us a more gory graphic, but
actually, not as bad actually.
A case could be made, but the fact of the matter is that there's a big difference between one of the bombs that, you know, I mean, it took many bombs to firebomb Tokyo, many conventional bombs, whereas it only took one atom bomb to kill the 250,000 people in Hiroshima. So yeah, getting rid of the nukes, top priority. Top priority. Then we'll worry about the conventional bombs, the firebomb, you know. But one at a time, one insurmountable obstacle at a time, you know, one challenge at a time. First and foremost, got to get rid of these. I mean, you got to figure, you know, it's like 17 billion every year is wasted on the maintenance of these things. That's money that could be going toward schools, the creation of jobs, subsidized housing. I wish I was as strong as I looked.
Are we going this way?
I don't know. I think the appointed end's over here.
You might want to ask one of the peacekeepers. It looks like they're getting ready to move.
Which direction will we be going? I guess I'll go on.
Be responsive to them if they have something to ask of you.
You want to know which
I really
direction
will
they're going to be going.
west on Madison.
I kind of figured you have the best of you.
And then we'll go north on the
You might want to tell her, the woman in the backpack, she's the one that was asking.
Okay. So we're expecting it might take about an hour. We're going to walk slowly and we're going to stay together. So,
No, I just look like I ought to be carrying the missile. Did you ever see the movie Superman 40 Quest for Peace? He tosses all the world's nuclear missiles into the sun. So yeah, you know, something like that would be a day at work for him. But no, I'm just looking for parts. What's going on, man? It's been a while since I've seen you. Are you still interviewing people?
Yeah, I still interview people. Yeah. You want to say a few things about the route?
Yeah, sure.
But there's a lot of background noise.
Just doing interview.
hey, we should get a shot of him in front of the missile.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get one eventually.
They're going to start moving any second now, so yeah, we'll have to make this quick. Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Should we follow?
Yeah, let's follow him. So, he's no reason to know. I think this guy's going to be...
Oh boy. We might have to move even further because you're coming this way. Let's go this way. I don't think they're coming up. No, I'm wrong. They are. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, we can get a shot of him walking.
over here. And you're dressed as Superman today, I guess.
No, I'm actually,
No?
I'm dressed as a character from my second novel. He's on the cover of my second novel, Battle Never Ending, which was endorsed by Dick Gregory, civil rights legend. And the outfit was initially to promote my second novel, and it worked. The promotion did, because all the copies are now sold. There have been 3 printings thus far, and the book's now out of print. Someone on Amazon.com is actually trying to get away with auctioning off a copy for $65, even though the cover was only $5. The cover price was only $5, so go figure. But yeah. It began in 1998 when the book first came out as a promotional, as a publicity stunt to promote the book. But now it's evolved since the Battle of Seattle, since I've seen folks dressed like sea turtles, you know, in the Battle of Seattle. It's now evolved into an aspect of activism.
Okay, now I'll ask you your name.
Oh,
halfway into the interview.
Saab Lofton. It's spelled like the car, S-A-A-B, and last name L-O-F as in Flash, T-O-N. But yeah, the movie Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, is what got me to join the peace movement in the first place.
And why are you here today?
Everyone should be here today. I mean, the need is obvious. You know, our lives are at stake, you know. I mean, even though the Cold War is over, all it takes is one accident. All it takes is one accident to trigger a sequence of events that could result in the end of life, period. I mean, the thing is that it's a damn shame we have to compete with trivia. It's a damn shame we have to compete with bread and circuses. You know, someone out there is playing a video game when they ought to be out here joining us. Someone out here is watching some so-called reality TV series when they ought to be out here with us. In fact, if anything, this ought to be the subject of a reality TV series, you know? I mean, you're looking at heroism in its purest form right here, right now.
And what was the name of your book again?
Oh, the second novel, Battle Never Ending. On the front cover is the guy that I'm dressed as.
Okay, and so this is part of the Battle Never Ending. Like this,
well, hopefully,
or at least we want to end it with the non-proliferation treaty.
Well, hopefully the battle will end. I mean, you know, the way I figure it, at some point we're going to look back on nuclear missiles the same way we today look back at Jim Crow. I mean, how many black men today are lynched for kissing white women? I mean, really, look at who's the president of the United States right now. He's the result of a black man and a white woman getting together. And yeah, so you got to figure there has to be progress. 100 years ago, my taste in women would have gotten me lynched. Now, again, look at who's in the White House. You know, look at Seal, look at Tiger Woods. So the thing is that, you know, progress has been made in the past 100 years, and 100 years from now, hopefully we will look back upon this era and think, oh my God, to think that we were that savage.
I thank you for your comments. We better get going.
Yeah,
we're going to miss the march.
We're going to be bringing up the rear here. Are you guys going to be able to stay for the whole thing?
Oh yeah, we're following you all day. That's all right. Walk backwards in front of you. You know, one thing I wanted to ask you is your name, Saab. Is that your real name?
It's short for Sebastian, which used to get my ass beat on the playground. I mean, really, trying to explain to a bunch of adrenaline-addicted jocks, you know, how to spell something long like Sebastian. Not to mention the fact that by American standards, it's sort of slightly feminine sounding name. So thankfully, by my senior year in high school, it finally had that thing shortened. So it went from Sebastian to Saab, and it just stuck.
But you also still get a lot of questions about why your name is Saab. Doesn't that also...
Not really. Usually people assume I'm Swedish. Or, I mean, and then some folks look at it and they assume I'm Arabic. They think that it's an Arabic thing. I'm not sure, but I think the word Saab means difficult in Arabic. I'm not sure. I'd check on that.
Why would they name a car after that then?
Yeah, I don't know the situation with that. I mean, you know, it's like I know the company used to make jets at some point. But I don't think it really had much to do with the car at first, you know. It's like folks found Sebastian too long, too unwieldy, and they just shortened it. I remember the first time I ever saw it spelled, at least in reference to me. I'm at a comic store, and the whole thing was they had everyone keep their bags behind the counter because they didn't want shoplifters, right? And so they did this so often that there were like a bunch of bags behind the counter. To distinguish one bag from another, they took a black Sharpie and they would write everyone's name under individual bags, under respective bags. And when it came time to write my name on the plastic bag, they put the guy behind the counter just by happenstance put S-A-A-B. And for the first time, you know, the spelling was that of the car. And that's at which point in which I guess the nickname stuck.
So have you been to comic books for a long time then, right?
Oh, all my life, yeah. You know, I guess that's obvious, huh?
Yeah.
No, I mean, you know, people assume that, you know, oh, it's just kid stuff. But if you go to Japan, if you go to Europe, you know that comics are, you know, accepted as the legitimate art form that they always were. I mean, just because something has something is on paper with panels and word balloons and drawings, that doesn't mean that it's inherently for kids. God forbid. I mean, if anything, just the opposite. Because you never know. You know, most comics are PG-13 to R.
Yeah.
You know, really. I mean, I would if I was a parent, I would never let my kids read The Watchmen. Hell no. I mean, that's my favorite book, but I would never let a kid read it, you know? And that's got guys in spandex and everything. So...
Who would you say are your biggest comic influences?
Let me see. I knew Jack Kirby. Good guy. There are artists that are like better than him, but he is, of course, the legend. And for a reason, you know, he created most of the Marvel stable, you know. That'd be an interesting story. I met Jack Kirby right before I graduated from high school. And waste not, want not.
Yeah. Can't my glasses.
I met Jack Kirby at a costume contest where everyone was supposed to show up dressed as one of his characters.